Thanks a lot for taking the time and coming to this event and spending the whole day almost with Bing and Bing related APIs. My slot is the last one, so it's always a difficult task to try to fit in time and then don't bore you to death with some demos or tech. I'm hoping that this might be interesting, and it will give you some interesting thoughts for the rest of the afternoon, however you want to spend the rest of your afternoon. My name is Blazej Kotelko. I work as a program manager on Bing's side of the engineering. I'm based in London, so I'm actually representing UK, but I work I used to work for a team that was used to call Bing Global. So we have a quite nice, broad and global reach. My colleague from France office, from the Paris office, is also here with me, Caroline. And then we have several people in other offices across the globe. Right now, the team is called Bing and Cortana ecosystem because we actually are responsible for bringing the technology of Bing and Cortana to developer community. And this is all through Microsoft Cognitive Services and through Bing Search APIs, and this is what I would like to talk about today. When we're talking about Microsoft Cognitive Services, it is important to understand what they are and what we are talking about. You can think of that as an umbrella term of all the APIs and technologies that are giving access to artificial intelligence knowledge or services from Microsoft to your developer efforts, to your apps and the websites. When we're talking about those, we are talking about democratizing intelligence because we are giving an easy access for development community to artificial intelligence services. It's much easier right now to do it than it used to be several years ago. And you saw some examples, as Bianca was showing earlier, also parts of those through machine learning, how easy it is right now. The key important elements that that I would like you to remember from this presentation is that all those Microsoft Cognitive Services are very easy to access. So you have there is no problem, no friction to get access to those. You just sign up with the key and start using it. And I'm hoping that we will be able to demonstrate that a little bit later. All of those APIs are RESTful APIs, so we can access them from any platform, from any programming language, from any device. All you need to do is to have internet connection. They are very flexible. You can use them from any programming language, as I said, and there are a couple of various flavors of SDKs and technologies that are allowing you to plug those services into your apps. They are tested. They are coming from both Bing engineering teams. So some of those APIs are coming directly from Bing. Some of those are coming from Microsoft research teams, which is actually currently one huge group. We are kind of merged together under Microsoft Artificial Intelligence and Research group. But what is super important in here, those APIs are the same. They are using the same technology, or they are giving you the access to the same technology that we are using in our own products, like Bing, Cortana, Office, and many others. So you are guys getting the best of the best right now directly from Microsoft. Since I will show that later on, it's really easy to get access to it. It's accessible to anyone, be that a university student or a developer at an enterprise. When we're talking about cognitive services, I think that slide was already on the screen earlier today, so I won't go deeply in that. But there are a couple of groups, so we have grouped all those APIs into several buckets. So we have vision, we have speech, we have language, knowledge, and search. I will go a little bit deeper into those APIs in the next slide. So I just want you to understand that we have grouped them into those buckets. Everything is accessible under microsoft.com/cognitive. So if you go there, and I will actually show that on the screen just in a moment, you can get access to those APIs easily. And let's go a little bit into what we have in those groups so that you can have some understanding. So vision, the group under vision is all about image recognition and everything that is related to computer vision, image and video. We have image recognition per se, so the main computer vision API. That includes also face API, which is allowing you to access face recognition technology and emotion recognition technology. This is all based on image. We have video API, which is allowing you to analyze video, produce a thumbnail video from a stream, and so on and so forth. And then we have content moderator, which is also allowing you to moderate the content that you're uploading to your system. Speech is all about processing speech. As the name suggests, the main API there is Bing Speech API, and this is an API that is allowing you to have speech recognition and text-to-speech techniques in your apps, in your solutions. And as I said, this is REST API, so you can use that in any language. You don't need to write code in Visual Studio and deploy it on Windows. That technology used to exist at Microsoft for years. It's still available, but this API is a REST cloud-based API. So it's using the same technology as Cortana and is able to understand speech and produce speech back, and it's working in several languages and so on. So we will talk about that in a moment. We have custom recognition API, which is allowing you to train the model for your specific domain. So you can train the model specific language or specific vocabulary that is used within your domain, but also you can train the model to operate in some, for instance, a noisy environment, right? So the standard speech recognition technology coming from Cortana used in Bing Speech, and then on top of that you are applying your own model. So what you do with this custom recognition, this is actually called CRISP. It's a custom recognition technology for speech. You are actually supplying it with several recordings of your customers speaking or your employees, for instance, in a noisy environment or a specific environment using specific language, and then tagging those and adding additional layer of custom speech recognition to your app. We have speaker recognition, which is also allowing you to identify a specific person. You can train the model and then use that to recognize speakers. And then the next group is language. So this is all about processing language, linguistic analysis, spell checking. So spell check is coming from Bing. Is directly what the name stands for. It's allowing you to get spell check solutions, the same kind of technology that is used in the Office right now, because Office is right now powered by Bing spell checker. So you can get that in your apps, and also is platform agnostic, so you can use it on any platform. Several APIs that are giving you linguistic analysis, language understanding, which is LUIS. That's the language understanding intelligence services, which is how I will talk about it a little bit in a moment. But this is super important for any conversations as a platform type of solutions, right? So when we're talking about bots, where we are talking about processing natural language and understanding users' intent. That is where LUIS is super helpful. And several text analytics APIs, and then the last one, which is super important for many apps and for enterprise use, is Translator. So this is actually formerly known as Bing, like coming from Bing Translator. Right now it's actually Microsoft Translator technology that is also powering Bing Translator app as a client. But from your perspective, this is a Microsoft Translator API that you can use in your solutions and provide translations back and forth in over 50 languages. I have a slide on that specific technology later on. Then we have knowledge. So this is all about understanding knowledge of the web and of the specific domain. There are some APIs which you can train with your own models for entity detection. We are providing entity detection from the web as well, from Wikipedia, and we are actually coming with some new APIs into that group in the next couple of months. So you will see more and more of those APIs coming into the picture. And then the last one, which is actually super important to me because I'm also from Bing and you guys are also working with Bing, so this is important and we will touch that as well. This is all about search, which is basically giving you and your apps access to the same resources that Bing has access to, which is web index, multimedia index, news index, and the fresh news results, and then auto-suggest, which is giving your app ability to have auto-completion. So let's go and try some demos, because demos are fun. So what I would like to start with is to show you the Cognitive Services website. When you go to Cognitive Services, this is where you would land. Obviously, we'll have all the pricing and documentation sections there, but you will have also the list of those APIs and actually a very nice ability to test out those APIs and play with them without actually writing any code. So if you want to play and see what would be the result of using that API, it's just very easy here. So it's actually quite nice. So the first one that I would like to show to you is the computer vision API. So this is actually a cool demo where you can either pick one of those images that you have here on the screen. Let's take this guy here. I think this is this magnifier that is blocking my screen now. Sorry, that's the demo, standard demo. Yeah, so sorry about it. So this is basically what I'm doing right now. I'm sending that image to the API, and the API is giving me back a result. So this is actually a JSON file, how the response from the API looks like. So if you can see here, what it says in the caption, that this is a man in a pool of water with certain confidence, and then it is actually adding tags to that image to see what the API understands about this particular image. So water, sport, swimming, and various tags with probability. It is also giving you additional information about that particular image, so you can analyze that later and add any intelligence based on the image to your app. What is, for instance, important is everything around color, everything about is that image an adult image or not, and what is the score. So if you are thinking about any content moderation on website, this is super important. So adult score and racist score. And then it also detects faces. So in this particular case, it already have detected that there is a face. And then obviously it provides you back with the several data on that, in this case, gender and age. There is also a face API that is specifically designed for face recognition. So that face API, let's try this. So that face API will give you more information about face, all the facial features, and then it will also be able to give you back emotion and also the age and sex as well. But you can think about that. You can say that this is maybe I'm faking something or pretending that this is working. But let's try with some example images that I have here. So this is actually myself a few years ago. Okay, so as you can see, that API has guessed that this is a man standing in front of a mountain, and obviously we have tags. This is outdoor, this is a person, and so on and so forth. So this is like a real life example. Another one that I can show you is a photo that I have taken actually last week when I was commuting to Cambridge. Everyone knows what that is, right? But the API actually detected that this is a suitcase that is on the side of the building. So maybe it's not perfect, but you know, it's somewhere there. It's going there. And then obviously it will give you a little bit more of info about that particular image. We had seen an example here during the presentations about a menu or like an OCR type of a solution. So we have that as well. So that API actually has several various flavors to it, but we have also an OCR option. So you can take a photo of any text basically, plug it into that API, and it will detect that text for you. So what I have prepared here, and literally I did it just before the presentation, so I was not preparing anything special here. Let's see if this opens up here. Yes, so this is a menu that I just took from the internet, some sort of like a restaurant, as you can see. Let's try to send it. So it will send that back, and what it gives you back, it gives you not only the text, it gives you actually the box and boundaries of each label, so it is allowing you to actually reproduce that in a different language. It also detects the language. That API actually works in, if I'm not mistaken, 12 languages, including Arabic, and is able to scan the text, detects the language, and transcode it into text, and it gives you back a JSON file with all the content. So that might be of some commercial use, I would say, if you're thinking about apps. And then the next kind of like an interesting demo that I would like to show is the intelligent kiosk. So we will talk about the intelligent kiosk in a moment. Hopefully this will work. So that is actually using this camera, although unfortunately this camera is not the best one actually in the world because it's not from Microsoft. It's a little bit, maybe the lights are not best, but you can see how it is working right now. So this is actually a demo that is showing you the live video feed analysis. So it's sending actually all the frames to the cloud through the APIs. It is getting us this particular demo. It's just a demo, right? So it's using the API, but how that demo was implemented, it's actually using the individual IDs. So the API gives you back an ID, a face ID, and then we're matching those IDs, and we are able to produce the number of unique faces and the kind of like a emotion, kind of like a graph of the crowd. It's actually really nicely working when we set it up in a kind of like a crowded space. People are walking by, and then after a few moments, we are able to say, "Hey, this is actually a, you know, pleased crowd or an angry crowd." There are a couple of other demos that I don't want to kind of like go deeper, but this one is actually nice. Let's see if this will be working. So the camera here is really not best. So what I will do here to save the demo is to switch back to my camera here, which will give you my nice face. So that will be working nicely. So I have to smile, and I can see this. The caption bot actually understands that this is a man wearing glasses and a tie. And I don't have a tie, but it was close, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of nice demos around those APIs and how to use them in kind of like a either fun or commercially commercial applications. We have actually built several apps that you can go and play with yourself. So the caption bot is actually live as a website. We have celebs like me that is able to compare your face to a celebrity and calculate a match. We have Project Murphy that someone mentioned earlier, so which is basically combining images, right? So you can say, you know, what to do. Like if I don't know, Bill Gates would be a baby or something of that sort. So it kind of like morphs the image and produces some funny results. But it is all based on face detection and those emotion APIs. The kiosk, the app that I was showing just a moment ago, is also available from GitHub. So not only you can basically start it running on your PC and just have fun, but also actually you have access to the full source code, right? So you can actually see how that has been built and what tech is used to build those up and how to apply it to your own apps. So that was a kind of like a first demo. A few slides about a couple of those, I think, more important kind of like APIs from your perspective, from the cognitive services family, and then we will go into Bing Search as well. So I think 3 APIs that I am highlighting. So first of all is the language understanding model. It's not that easy to demonstrate within 5 minutes, but the concept of that is basically to produce back an intent analysis from a text, right? So you actually supply Lewis with your utterances of various queries or various commands that your users would be giving you. It's actually quite useful for any bot scenario if you think about it, but you can use it in any app. It's a RESTful API, so you can call it and get back a JSON file with the results. So, and you will be tagging those utterances with intent. So you have a training set. It's a machine learning model. You have a training set. You tag it, and then the training set, the model will learn itself while being used by the users, right? Because it is a machine learning model, so it will get better and better. It is working right now in 7 languages, so we support 7 languages, and more are coming. And it's quite easy to set up and deploy and use in any bots. It's kind of like one of the very important components of Microsoft Bot Framework. If you are thinking about building any bots, you will stumble upon Lewis in no time. And this is really great. It has a web-based interface, so you can do everything on a web-based interface, supplying your data file. But there is also an API, so you can do it programmatically from your app. The next one is that I wanted to mention is this Translator API. As I mentioned, this is really cool. It's actually giving you access to the same technology that is used in Skype Translator. So the video that we had on the screen earlier, when someone was talking in Chinese to his colleague, that is actually available to you as a service. And we have actually 2 flavors of that API right now within cognitive services. So those APIs were actually around. The Translator API is not new. It was around for some time, offered from Microsoft, but right now is forming part of cognitive services within the same billing with the same Microsoft Azure marketplace. So this is quite convenient for you as a dev. So we have 2 flavors. One is the text, and the other one is the speech recognition. So there is a direct speech recognition and translation within one API call, which saves you time and money, obviously. And there is also an intent analysis in that call. And then we have 50 languages in this particular API. So this is really quite powerful set of languages, and you can translate any to any. It always sends the data to our Bing Cloud and gets it back. And so you are required to have internet connection to have that. But it's a REST API as well, so you can use it from any device. The next one, which is kind of similar, is Bing Speech, but it's not. This is not about translation. This is about speech recognition. So we have speech recognition and text-to-speech and speech intent as well. And this particular API works within 17 languages right now, and more are coming. This is the one that is used in Cortana and Windows 10. So you can add capabilities to your app to listen to voice. So this is actually quite widely used also in the bot environment. So whenever you're thinking about building a bot, plugging it to an audio stream or adding a feature where the user can talk to the bot through various channels, then that's an answer here. And Bianca was actually mentioning about a bot that they built last week using that speech recognition. With this one, actually, there is a client SDK. So we have a client SDK for Android, iOS, and Windows, and then the processing is done on the client. So you can have the speech recognition on the client side as well on that one. And this one would go actually to the demo. Next one. Let's try this. I'm sure about the... So I have actually a sample here that is taken from a message that I got from my colleague today in the morning. Let's see if this will work. No, just a moment. This is not this. This is the one I wanted to say. Okay, and I can select the voice. Will it be?
Online demo.
Oh my goodness. Sorry for that. That was not me.
Welcome to Microsoft Text-to-Speech Online demo.
Okay. So at least it's working now. We can replace this with this guy.
Trains are massively delayed again today. I'm still waiting for my train, but should be in the office before 10.
So, and obviously this is kind of, you can think about those scenarios even before my presentation. It's not like rocket science, but now when you think that you can use that in any platform, on any platform for any device, and plug those capabilities into your apps, read out messages, emails, and so on and so forth. This is actually the same technology that we use internally. And then the next bit that I wanted to talk about is the search APIs, which is Bing Search. So this brings us back to kind of like a main topic of the whole day, which is Bing. And my colleagues already mentioned that Bing is everywhere, and Bing is great, so I don't want to go there, but it is actually great, and it's everywhere. But I want to talk about the Bing Search API. So within cognitive services, we have Bing Search APIs that are giving you access to the knowledge from the web. Web, search, image, video, news, auto-suggest, and spell check. These are basically coming directly from Bing. We have fairly decent capabilities in terms of filtering and customizing your search. It's all web scale, so we have actually a powerful cloud behind it. So it's the same. You are getting the same access to the same stock, and there's the same APIs that are, or the same results and the same pipeline that powers Bing.com and Cortana. So when you think about searches, when you think about building any search experiences on top of those APIs, you can think about huge scale apps as well. They are all secure, RESTful APIs, and so on and so forth. So really easy to plug into your apps and use them in your results. So you can think about this is how it works more or less in terms of the results. So this is actually an example from Bing where you have query NASA, and you are getting some kind of like a navigational result, which is a NASA website with deep links, and then you're getting a news results about NASA, you're getting some images, videos, and related searches. You are normally getting that all from Bing on the Bing.com website. Now you will be getting all that within the JSON response. You will be getting ranking response, so you can see how those individual answers on Bing are stacking up. You are able to call individual vertical search also. So we have not only web search API, as I mentioned, but also those individual APIs for image, video, and news. Either you are getting everything in one and a huge response from the web search API, or you can query Bing only for the web results and separately for image results. So depending on your specific application or your specific requirement, you can do whatever you want. You are quite flexible here. What I would like to call out is those multimedia-related APIs, because this is when you think about Bing search or when you think about internet search, you usually think about those 10 blue links or like those web results, which in many cases won't give you much, right? But if you're thinking about any application that is using image rich results or video, then both image and video indexes on Bing are quite powerful. We actually index the whole content of the internet for images and for video. For video specifically, what is important to call out, we don't index only YouTube, right? On top of YouTube, we have also various other sources, whereas the competition would index YouTube for obvious reasons. And then we have news search API also that is giving you back results from news outlets around trending topics, around the topics that you care about right now. And as I said, access to those APIs is fairly easy. You can obtain an key from Cognitive Services. It's most of those APIs have a fairly decent free tier, so you have like 5,000 calls a month for free for the web search API, and then just plug it into your apps. And I would like to show just a few demos also, just to give you a little bit of a perspective. So all those APIs are also accessible through that kind of like an interface. You can play with those in here. And you can see that there are some parameters that you can set for this. So let's try my favorite topic recently. So in this case, you can see that we are getting both news results and also algo results and so on. So you can change that, and we can play with that within this interface and also see the JSON file, so you can like get some perspective what we are getting and prepare your app. But then obviously you will be using some other tools probably to that. Let's try the something more fun, which is the image search. So for image search, let's do Harry Potter. And we can also change the market. So Harry Potter for UK might give us slightly better results, or slightly nicer results. We have safe search, which is quite important, because if you're doing anything with images, with multimedia on the web, safe search is key. You might want to do, you switch it off if you want to go that direction, but it's also possible and available through the API, but normally you wouldn't. And then you have also the size of image, license type, color of the image. So we would like to do only red images for Harry Potter for some reason. Okay, it's maybe not that what I would expect, but okay. So this is all available through the API, and as I can see, I can switch to the JSON file here. You will be getting the captions and the URLs of those images and so on. That actually feature is used in Office. If you look at the Office, this is my PowerPoint, and if I add online picture from within the Office, the user interface. Does it work or not? So that user interface is quite similar to the Bing search, because it's actually powered by Bing search. So if you do London, say, we are getting the images from London, about London, and then we have the same kind of types of controls here. We can change the color. Let's say that we would like only black and white pictures of London, and that will give us also results. So this is how the Office team is actually using our results. What I wanted to show to you also is actually available through the API, but there is not an easy interface and fun interface. So I will do it on the Bing website. So you can get that from the API, but looking at the JSON file is not so fun. What I wanted to show to you is the image match or reverse image search, as we called it internally. And this is where you can search for similar images. And what I will do, I will upload an image here to Bing. So you can do it the same in programmatic way through the API. And we will do a search for that image that I took actually last week. So this image on the screen is my photo. And then what you have down here are similar photos from the internet. So these are all photos that people took. Apparently, this is quite an important object, and people do the same. I'm just making fun, but it's super important, I know. So this is how it works. Let's try the other one, just to give you a perspective. In this way, as you saw, this worked perfectly because it was showing you precisely the same kind of image. And actually, if you don't know what was on the picture, doing a reverse search would give you actually captions and would give you precise descriptions of that object in many cases, right? So you can do some sort of research. If we look at that image, you will be getting similar kind of images, right? So a person standing in front of some mountains. It's not the same, but it is similar. So that image search API is also giving you those results back. And then you can think about the last one, which is the news API. Sorry, here. So if we do the news API and do Brexit, for instance, right? We will be getting those news articles, and we will. But it's actually quite nicer to see that in right example. So I will actually switch to Postman, and I have that actually prepared here. So this is also showing you how easy it is to get those results working in the real life environments. What you will be doing, you will get to the Cognitive Services website, ask for a key, so you will get started for free. You will get a key, which is actually what you will use later on here in your API call, API request, and get your topic, and here you go. That news API actually has also a switch where you can change the category, so you will be getting news on this topic, in this case Brexit, for specific categories. So let's try Word. So it will be giving me Word news. So for Word news, as you can see, the Italian referendum is coming up first. But this is all coming within a JSON file, so you can use that in your API, in your experiences in your apps freely and easily. And I think this is it from the demos. In terms of the access, as I said, the Microsoft Cognitive Services is your starting point for all the cognitive services, including Bing Search. Some of those cognitive services are in preview. Some of those are fully released to the market and have all commercial terms behind them. Some are basically currently free because they are in preview, like for instance Chris and Louis. But then if you need any additional support, as I said, the Cognitive Services website is a good starting point. There is a website that sits under bing.com or .co.uk/partners, which gives you a little bit of a landing page talking about all the Bing search APIs, including maps, and also linking through the Cognitive Services. And then if you're thinking about any commercial terms, everything is available through Azure Marketplace. If you have a current relationship with with our distributor Grey Matter, then this is also available through their channel, because this is actually on Azure, right? So you're buying Azure, and you can talk about all of those terms with Grey Matter And that's it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. If not, then I think this is it, right?
So there'll be some Harry Potter questions, I think. So, questions, anybody? Yeah. If you have it quite close.
How soon will we be able to use voice as a secure password instead of a fingerprint or PIN code?
Yeah, it's a good question. So one of the APIs that we have, speaker recognition, is one of the suggested use is the speaker recognition for authentication. Although we do not recommend to use it for single layer of authentication. It's not secure enough at this point. I'm not sure if it ever would be. Actually, we did some tests. It's really easy to fool it by playing a recording of a person, right? So it's in the same way as fingerprints. You can break into every iPhone with the special technique that is on YouTube, right? So it's not secure enough. Microsoft Hello is the authentication technology from Microsoft that is foolproof and secure, which is using a 3D camera. But this is more kind of like a powerful. This is just a software, right? So you can think about sending a voice sample, and that voice sample is coming, from my iPhone or whatever device. I know of an example of a bank in Brazil. My colleagues were discussing that, where they are using that kind of a technique to authenticate, to automate some process, but it is only used within bank's premises in a special kind of booths with camera. So they have some sort of like a way to understand that this is actually a person talking to the machine and not someone playing a recording, right? So it's definitely possible to use those APIs, including face recognition API, to do some level of identification of a person. But I wouldn't recommend, or Microsoft wouldn't recommend it for authentication.
So not really a question as such, but really interested in finding out more about the sentiment analysis of text, which I think is one of the offerings in there.
Yeah, so there is one of the APIs. Actually, let me go here. One of the APIs, linguistic analysis, right? That's the one, if I'm not mistaken, is doing the sentiment analysis of a text. So there are ways to do it right now with cognitive services. We have actually a demo, which that one I can show easily because it does not require a camera, which is not the best camera, I can tell you, which kind of demonstrate that, and that is actually for news analysis. So this is the same. This is a demo, right? So we did that demo too. So what it does, it queries Bing for news in the same way as I did just a moment ago, but then sends the caption of each news to the text analysis, sentiment analysis API, and flags that with some positive, negative, kind of like a number, right? And the color codes that, right? So you can see all those news stories from today are being tagged with colors, and it's just like the representation of the data that is coming back from the API, but it is available freely to use on you. And this example is also on GitHub, right? So we can use that one. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.